Hey guys, I got another book haul coming for you today. Let's see if I can show you the bottom of the stack. There's really not that many compared to some of my previous hauls. There you go, there's the bottom. Let me put these down. So I'm wearing the sweater that I thrifted in my last reading and thrifting vlog. You can't really see it, but it's super comfortable. And I told Jared, I said, I think, like, does it look like an old grandma or old grandpa's sweater kind of thing? And then I tried it on and showed him. He said, no, it doesn't look like an old grandpa's sweater. Anyone else realize, like, he didn't say it doesn't look like an old grandma sweater. But, oh well, it's so comfy, I'm wearing it. Anyway, let's talk about some books. So once again, I got books from a variety of different places. I got some from Book Outlet again. Once again, last time I said I bought some from Book Outlet and people like comment and say, oh, don't you know about Book Outlet? I addressed that a few book hauls ago. Not really gonna address it again. I thrifted some. I got one from a little free library. I got one sent to me by an author. Oh, and Jared bought one. I'm actually gonna share one of his books. I think that sums up where they all came from. And there's like a variety of genres again. For next year, I'm planning on only buying books from authors that I've read before, books I've read before, or like books that just sound really amazing, so I don't just end up with a bunch that I don't enjoy. But let's get into these. I don't know, they're just in a random order, so we'll start with the ones right beside me. So I shared about this book already because I already read it. I never do that. This is The Line Between by Tosca Lee. This one is well, I bought it because I wanted to read more Tosca Lee because I read one book by her and Ted Dekker and I didn't like it. And I didn't know if I didn't like her part of the writing or if I just didn't like Dekker. I think it's just Dekker. Because this book was so good. I gave it 4.5 stars when I read it in November. It is about the main character. Her name is Winter, and she pretty much gets kicked out of a cult right at the beginning of the book. And I realized like I need to read more books about cults because it was so interesting. And then on top of it, there is a worldwide pandemic going on. This book was written in 2019. And the pandemic and like the details, you guys, it sounds just like right now. This was amazing. So this is actually book 1 in a series. So I also bought book 2, which is called A Single Light. So I haven't read this one yet. I'm just waiting a little bit because I really liked this one, so I'm kind of like riding the wave of enjoying this before I pick this up. But I'm really curious about this. I don't even want to read like where this picks up or anything. But one thing I wanted to do for this book haul, hopefully I remember it for all the books. April from Getting Hygge With It, she reads the first line of every book that she hauls, and I thought that would be so much fun because I have been loving when that prompt pops up in my TBR videos. So this first one is, the farmer moved into the woods looking for his pigs. Wow, considering how good this book is, that is a very lame, boring first line. That just goes to show you can't judge a book by the first line. Okay, well hopefully this isn't too spoilery for book 2, so I'll read the first sentence here. I miss ice cream. Well, that's a better first line. Doesn't spoil anything. And then I also, for whatever reason, decided to buy Iscariot by Tosca Lee. I actually looked this one up on Goodreads and it has really good reviews. So this is the story about Judas Iscariot. I mean, obviously very fictional because there's a lot more here than in the Bible. But let's read this first line. A dog chokes by the side of the road in Capernaum. Okay. Interesting. Not really sure where that's going. Well, I mean, obviously it's going to be going to Judas, but yeah, so I'm going to try out more of her writing. The first book there was really good, so hopefully they continue to be really good. Then in my reading vlog, thrifting vlog, I also went to a little free library and I got One by One by Ruth Ware. I read Turn of the Key recently. Thought it was like a 3-star-ish book. So I was curious about more of hers. I wasn't going to buy any, but little free library. So let's read the first line of this. I don't really know anything about this other than I think it sounds like "And Then There Were None"-esque, like by Agatha Christie, just like people dropping off one by one, I think. It says, from the About Us page of the Snoop Company website. Hey, we're Snoop. That's more than one sentence, but... Okay, let's go to 5 days earlier because it's kind of like a bunch of news articles. Liz, her Snoop ID, what she's listening to, Snoopers and Snoopscribers. Anyway, the first sentence says, I keep my earbuds shoved into my ears on the minibus from Geneva Airport. Nah. Interesting. I wish it'd be like a challenge. Like, what's a really good first sentence? This is very mediocre, but it's also really hard to like have like a bombshell first sentence. Oh, let's do this one. Jared bought this for himself. I haven't even started the series. This is Rhythm of War. Book 4 in the Stormlight Archive. It's like a beast, you guys. Also, I noticed I was putting his dust jacket back on. There's some like really cool artwork, which means nothing to me because I haven't read it. Let's try to read this first sentence. I have a feeling it's going to be like character name I can't pronounce, character name I can't pronounce, character name I can't pronounce. Preface and acknowledgements. Ooh, a map. Sanderson, he just writes, he writes so much. Oh, just keeps going. Okay, 7 years ago. Okay, yeah, first, of course the Parshendi wanted to play their drums. Yeah, that means nothing, especially when you haven't read even the first 3 books in the series. Okay, then I got the first 2 books in the series. I got Nevermore. And I got Wondersmith. Now, does this bother anyone when you get a like paperback and a hardcover? Because it definitely bothers me. But I figured I would just grab them both, and then if I find the other one, maybe I'll pick that one up and replace whichever one. I would kind of prefer the hardcover. Anyway, Nevermore. These are, yeah, the first 2 books in a series. Book 3 just came out. They're about Morrigan Crow, who was born on the unluckiest day of the year and is set to die on her like 11th birthday or something. Here's the prologue. The journalists arrive. Ooh, wait a minute. So I just finished reading it in my head, and the journalists arrived before the coffin did. That's pretty good. Yeah, so she's set to die on her like 11th birthday or something, and something happens and she doesn't, and the book ensues. And then Wondersmith follows that. Let's read this first sentence here. Morrigan Crow leapt from the brawly rail, teeth chattering, hands frozen around the end of her oilskin umbrella. Pretty mediocre. Okay, here's another one I shared in my reading and thrifting vlog. The Secret Lives of Sergeant John Wilson. This was a book I had to read in high school. It's about an RCMP officer. He came over from England, I think, came to Saskatchewan and got married, but I think he got married, or he had a girlfriend at least, or something. But this woman didn't realize that he left a wife and possibly a kid or something back in England. His first wife comes over and he ends up murdering her. And he did that very close to where I live. And so for a grade 12 field trip, we got to go to the ditch where he buried her. And we had, our teacher like videoed it, and oh, I wish I could find this. Like, I don't know, she never gave us copies, but I had to read a poem that I had written, and it was like eerie and creepy and really well done. I was very proud of that poem, but I got to read it in the ditch. And yeah, anyway, so this one is definitely one of those books that stuck with me. And I want to do like a month or a week or something where I try to read a couple books from high school that I didn't necessarily enjoy in high school, but maybe will more as an adult. Here's the prologue. In a dark office building on the Scareth Street in Regina, a 9th floor window is lit, as it often is these cold December nights. Ooh, stumbled over that one. That was kind of meh. Then I just went ahead and got like 3 Agatha Christie because very, very slowly collecting all her books. That's some of my Agatha Christie there. So I've got Cards on the Table. This one is a Poirot book. Let's read the first sentence. My dear Mr. Poirot. Lame. Then I got N or M. Oh, this is a Tommy and Tuppence mystery. I haven't read any of those detective ones. Tommy Beresford removed his overcoat in the hall of the flat. Good for Tommy. And this one is Third Girl, another Poirot one. Hercule Poirot was sitting at the breakfast table. Good for him. Maybe Tommy was putting his overcoat on to go sit at the breakfast table too. Okay, now I've got some non-fiction books. Let's start with this one. This one is Give Them Grace. By Elise Fitzpatrick and Jessica Thompson. I read this book a couple years ago. It's a really good parenting book, but if your kids are like really young in the toddler stage, it feels very unattainable and overwhelming. But if your kids are older, like mine are, it's a really good one. So do first sentences on nonfiction. We'll see how this goes. Jessica heard the terrifying scream emanating from the playroom. That is actually a really good first sentence and a perfect one for a parenting book. Then I've been actually wanting to read this book. It's called Love Where You Live. How to live sent in the place you called home. That can be a struggle when you live somewhere that is always winter and never Christmas, or so it feels. The first sentence. Oh, the first sentence is just, hi there. Second one is, come on over. So I guess that fits with the book. Then, okay, I bought this book and I used to follow, okay, so it's You Are the Girl for the Job. This is by Jess Connolly and I used to follow her online, and I think from what I know, she follows the Bible. That being said, the subtitle is Daring to Believe the God Who Calls You. I don't know, I just feel like a few of the things I know about her vibe, like honestly, like this is just, it's so abstract, but there are like a few Rachel Hollis vibes from her. So anyway, I want to read this book. I have no idea, like that could have been way off base, but I want to read it and see for myself and, you know, take what I read and see if it matches up with the Bible. So really, I think you don't have to hide, hold back, or wait for permission when God calls you forward. So yeah, I have no idea. Let's find chapter 1. Forward by Annie F. Downs. So that seems legit. And it is a Zondervan book. Introduction. The title, chapter title is My Spin Class Revelation. I sat on a bike in a dark and emo cycling studio. Well, that's normally not my cup of tea, but curious to see where that goes. Okay, then I got a classic that I have never read and don't own and cannot find used at all. That is Dracula. finally like just splurged for the nice kind of like cloth, but kind of like hardcover book. So I'm gonna probably try to read this next year. Chapter 1. May 3rd. Left Munich at 8:35 p.m. on May 1st. Arriving at Vienna early next morning. Should have arrived at 6:46, but train was an hour late. Okay, sounds like a journal entry or something. Then I do get a decent amount of emails, like I'm sure most booktubers, people wanting to review their books. I usually say no unless they're willing to send me a physical copy of a book. Like lots of people want to send you their ebooks, and that's fine, and I understand that as an author, like it's much cheaper, and I get that, but I don't read ebooks. So I got this book 10 by Ben Zachary, I believe. So he told me about it and it sounded interesting. I also just don't want to say yes to every single book. Like I'm not just here for all the free books. They actually have to sound good. So it's this book is about a man that was once devout, turns against God, and he decides to break each and every one of the 10 commandments. So that's a very interesting concept to me, and I'm curious to see where it goes. So prologue here, it's called On the Tracks. Silence was powerful as people began to gather. Just kind of like an average first sentence. And I mean, most authors aren't trying to like grip you right on the first sentence. People usually invest a little bit more time, but not me. Okay, and the last book. This is book 3 in a trilogy that I own book 1, and now I own book 3, but I still don't have book 2. This is The Cry of the Raven. Yeah, Cry of the Raven. This is a Christian fantasy series trilogy that I really enjoyed. This has the shortest first sentence yet. It says numb. Second sentence says so numb. But yeah, I really enjoyed book 1. It's about a woman who her family has the power to walk in people's dreams and influence their dreams, and she finds out her family has been using this power to assassinate people, but she would prefer to not do that and use it for good, and thus the trilogy ensues. So there you have it. That is my most recent book haul. I have some more books coming, but the postal system here is so slow right now because everyone is ordering everything for Christmas. So, you know, those were supposed to get here last week, and they haven't even left Ontario where everything ships out of, so eventually they'll get to me and they will be in the next book haul. This is going live on Christmas Eve, so I want to say Merry Christmas, you guys, and I will see you after Christmas.